to talk football with Coach K right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Well, sadly, no football to talk, so we're going to get to the NHL playoff scene right now with Coach K. Now, actually, so much to get to on today's show. Obviously, we don't have enough time in an hour, but we're going to try. So we're going to get to a lot of topics today, real fast, real quick, and we'll get the expert advice from the man you can only get right here. Only NFL coach from the Pensacola area, kind enough to join us each and every week with his time. Been there from the NFL sidelines as a coach and player, former Florida Gator quarterback, PHS grad. And, Coach, I'm so glad right now it's in the thick of things in football because at the beginning, everybody knows everything. I mean, like we said, each week Sam Darnold's the best, then he's seeing ghosts. Patrick Mahomes will never lose a game, then he's hurt in week 2. Andrew Luck is out, and the Indianapolis Colts are done. And are they going to tank for teams? And now they're sitting there in the playoffs. We all know everything every single week. But now, whether you thought you knew everything or not, we actually are starting to see if these teams are real. Because by the halfway point, most people have figured out San Francisco is not a fluke. Most people have figured out Tom Brady, Drew Brees, they might be getting older, but their football game isn't. And there's so much opportunity to talk about the games today. Joining us as always, Coach K. Stevenson. Coach, we appreciate your time.
Good to be with you as always. And we haven't lost all the seers. Believe me, the seers are still there. And I think our seers are seriously seeing ghosts.
Yes, they are. I mean,
I heard this morning, this very morning, just a few hours ago, 2 people say that Garoppolo, if San Francisco only had a quarterback, what a good football team they would be. I'm telling you, these people should really take a lesson and should go take a lesson in football but anyway,
Coach, people can go on politics today. They can go on Facebook, and you meet with people I know every Thursday or whatever, and people can go on politics, though, on Facebook, and they can go out there and they could promote, and the next thing you know, they're an expert. They should be right there in the Pentagon breaking down what happened in the military. And by the way, big news outside of football, obviously, with what happened in getting the head of ISIS. Huge for our country and for the world, too. I don't want to get into it too much, but that was a big day. I don't want to talk much. I mean, huge day.
Absolutely. I could talk about politics for days, but no, you're right. It's big.
Millions could be saved down the road because of that one action, and that's bigger than life. I mean, bigger than football. But I do want to get to all the games. Let's start things off. We're going to get to 4-down territory with the 4 biggest stories throughout the day, and let's get to that now. First down, the LSU Tigers, they win. It's a grinded out against an Auburn team that is a very good football team. But, Coach, they're now ranked number 1 in the polls. Coach, should they be number 1 in the polls, or is this a move to hype up what they are both leading into to make the game even stronger from a media standpoint when Alabama and LSU play 1 versus 2? Or do you feel they should be 1?
They should be number 1. They've beaten, 3 or 4 top 10 teams. They're playing extremely well. If you looked at that ball game the other day, I give Auburn credit for hanging in there and the final score. But to me, there was a tremendous difference between LSU and Auburn, and LSU is a much better football team.
Mm-hmm.
And my goodness, the quarterback Cabar goes out there, Barrow, and lights it on fire, and just does one heck of a job. I mean, they could have scored. They could have scored more if they had the ball more. The one weak point with LSU is their defense is staying on the field too long. They've got to get off the field, especially against Alabama. If they don't get off the field against Alabama, they're going to get wrecked. There's no doubt about it.
Second down as we move on here, taking a look at Ryan Day. This was a guy in 2017 who was making $400,000. Now, that was good money at one point back in the day. I mean, Bear Bryant was, if he made that kind of money, he would live in mansions all over the world. But the difference is nowadays that's the minimum. I mean, the MAC coaches are making 3 times that much at least. Looking at Ryan Day now, from a QB coach in 2017 from the Toledo ranks to having an opportunity to be the head coach making $5 million. His first year, he has done an incredible job, to say the least, for what Urban Meyer and him left a good product, but taking a brand new quarterback, new system with Justin Fields. And they go out there this week and dismantle Wisconsin, especially in the second half. It was 10-0 at halftime. It was a grind, but you could see the wear and tear as Ohio State outscored the Badgers 28-0 in the second half. Coach, Ohio State is now ranked third, and they're 8-0 on the season. Is Ryan Day, in our second down conversation, Ryan Day so far the coach of the year in college football?
Probably would be the leader right now. No doubt about it. He and Coach O at LSU would be right there neck and neck. But, yeah, he's done an unbelievable job, and Ohio State is certainly no lower than number 3, and some would argue could be number 1.
And they should be in that conversation with LSU, Alabama, and all that. They're not just a team that's going to get to the playoff and then be a team that gets beat. You really see them as a legit contender with all the teams up top.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, they are a legit contender. I don't have any question about that.
Yeah, very few teams at all. I mean, you go out and you trounce a good Wisconsin team like that. I mean, they've done it to every team. They're averaging beating opponents that are ranked in the top 50 in the nation, which is not – they don't really – top 25 they stop. But teams that aren't 118 that you pay. Top 50 teams in the nation, they're beating teams right now by an average of 37 points a game. That's incredible.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And now, granted, they've not had the strongest schedule in the country, but it's been strong enough that should be indicative of what a good football team they are.
Third down, taking a look here. Is Oklahoma losing? Jalen Hurts, which shocked us all. Nobody today, if you're like, I saw Kansas State, then you live in Manhattan. And not the one with millions of people, the one right there, the Little Apple in Kansas. Coach, if you look right now at Oklahoma, what to you was a bigger shock? Georgia losing to South Carolina at home or Oklahoma losing to Kansas State?
Georgia losing to South Carolina and at home. I'll tell you why, because I think you and I talked about either Thursday or Friday. The problem with Oklahoma, even getting into the playoffs, would be that they have a weak defense.
And it showed.
They have no defense. And Kansas State had an excellent game plan. And when you're playing a weak defense, Chad, sooner or later, somebody is going to know how to take advantage to the fullest. And they did. And the other thing that's a little shocking now about Oklahoma is I didn't see much fire in those kids when they were getting popped pretty good out there, and that's not good. You always want to see guys fired up, going full speed, and all the other things that you like to think about, especially with college kids. And I didn't see that. But they're not very potent defensively. Therefore, you couldn't put them. I never really put Oklahoma in that exclusive group.
And their defense. And you can't blame Jalen Hurts. This is not a game where you come up. If you didn't watch the game, the mindset might be to jump on air and be like, well, maybe Jalen is back to – no, Jalen Hurts had 395 yards, scored – actually combined, he had almost 500 yards in the game, rushing and passing, and he had 4 touchdowns. No turnovers. Scored 41 points. It's not his fault. I mean, if you have a decent defense, you win 41-10, and you go out there. But the defense allowing 48 points to a Kansas State team who did beat Mississippi State this year. That's not saying much, but they're a better team, I think, than people are giving Kansas State some credit for. Looking at our 4-down territory as we continue through with the biggest topics from the day, looking at the situation with San Francisco. The 49ers in the NFL, as we jump over here, 51-13 this week they win. Coach, here is a fascinating stat. San Francisco and New England, through 8 weeks of the season, ranked number 1 and number 2 in defensive efficiency ever in the history of the NFL through 8 weeks.
That's strong.
That's very strong.
That is strong. Yeah.
And how NFL defensive efficiency is ranked by expected points added per play, with garbage time downgraded. So that if you're up by a certain amount of points, over 21 points, they take that out of accountability that you might allow a few touchdowns in the final seconds. Yeah. But New England and San Francisco in the first 3 quarters pretty much have dominated every game. And in the fourth, they're up by a lot and pulling starters and running.
Yeah, that's a heck of a stat. And I go back. But if you remember the first of the year, now, my projection for the Western Division was San Francisco would win that
You
division.
did, yeah.
And I like what they've put together. I like their quarterback. I like their defense. I love their draft choice. And he obviously, he was called yesterday the best player in the league.
It's the new trend. Yeah,
everybody's a GOAT, I guess. But anyway, I like this football team. And for somebody to say that Garoppolo is not a very good quarterback, they got to be should not be allowed to even voice their opinion. I know everybody should be allowed to voice their opinion, but that should take some people out of the game.
Yeah, and to your point with everybody's the GOAT, they're all the GOAT one week, and the next week they're the sacrificial lamb.
Absolutely.
That's how it works, it seems. Looking at the Colts, win right here. You've been proud of Frank Reich, a guy that has learned so much. Really, you were his mentor in so many ways as an experience. You drafted him, guy that has the best comebacks in the history of the NFL and college football. When he's coming down here, I know he stays with you, and you guys hang out. And one of the things that I've learned from him over the years with him joining you on the shows is he's just a fighter and never is going to let down. The Colts didn't play the best game. Denver's defense, I think people need to start respecting. They got a very good defense. They just don't have any offensive firepower. Flacco, I think the game has passed him. He's not a bad guy, but today's NFL, to be where Denver fans want them, they need to start looking at a quarterback. And they've tried. John Elway's gone after Chad Kelly and gone after Peyton Lynch and many guys, but they haven't worked into being those guys. But, Coach, the Colts pull out that victory. Vinatieri always will be, as a Patriot fan, he always will he'll never miss a meal in Boston, I'll tell you that much. He goes out there and he misses an extra point, which today you see, and 13-12 is the score. Gets redemption with a 51-yarder to win 15-13, but that's the type of games that it's not pretty, but he grinds out a victory, and to win in the NFL and now moving to 5-2 on the season without Andrew Luck, incredible story.
Yeah, and had to make that drive to win it from his own 6-yard line, whatever it was, down the 6, 7, 8-yard line, somewhere down there. But just an outstanding job. But that's a football team in many respects takes on the personality of their head coach. And this was something interesting to see too. Did you see Frank Reich jumping around like an idiot when they hit the field goal? There's some coaches that would have hopped around like little kids at a party.
Maybe or maybe not up in the Northwest with a bird mascot. I don't know. They wear like neon colors.
Well, he would have been first on the list. But they take on the personality of their head coach, and he's just let's get it done down to earth. Here's how we're going to do it.
It's expected.
And here's how we're going to do it. And just an outstanding job. The most surprising thing about that particular game was after the game, did you see the press conference by Flacco?
I did not, no.
If you've not heard about it, he absolutely got on television and threw the whole coaching staff under the bus. I've never heard a player say what he said at the press conference.
Is it FCC regulated? He didn't cuss or anything, did he?
No.
Okay, well,
what he did was talk about what a poor coaching job they did and why they didn't.
Yeah. We'll pull it up and get everybody. We'll let them hear then because I'm intrigued by that. And Flacco doesn't have the room. There are some players where it's inevitable, Coach, that they're the ones doing the job, and that, like Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers can say what he wants, and everybody be like, yeah, you're working with guys that were like probably driving school buses for kids at wide receiver. He has guys that are coming off the street, and he's making them great.
Yeah, well, even Aaron Rodgers, there's no way that a player
he wouldn't say that.
A player wouldn't say that. A good player wouldn't say that.
Him and Mike McCarthy have tons of respect, even though he's not the coach.
Yeah, and but he's earned his way as a leader, not to say something like that. This is beyond the pale. We need to pull it up for the for the audience to hear.
Coach, real quick, would you Belichick and what Shanahan had done have been incredible, but would you put Matt LaFleur and what he's done in Green Bay up there as an incredible job this year?
I think he's done a good job. I wouldn't say incredible. I think the major thing going on in Green Bay is they're doing a fair job, not a great job, of keeping people off Rodgers, and Rodgers is just playing lights out right now. If they didn't have Rodgers, they may not have won 2 or 3 ball games.
Yeah. Well, and defensive linemen are afraid if they touch any part of the offensive lineman's jersey, they're going to get hands to the face against them too. So there you go.
Well, their defense is, I have to give their defense credit. Their defense is playing better than it has, and but Rodgers is just unbelievable. The one throw he made yesterday wouldn't be made again in 100 years.
No, and it made some incredible plays. They won 34-20. See, the difference, though, between San Francisco and New England is they're annihilating their opponents. They put games away at halftime. Green Bay, it seems every one of their 7 wins outside of one game this year has been down to the final seconds. So it's a little different. You have to look at the style of how they're winning compared to the dominant. San Francisco and New England have been dominant teams where you look right now, Green Bay, Rodgers is winning games, finding a way to win games for his team. They're 7-1. And they found a way to win last night, even with Kansas City coming back and playing hard. And Hardman, he's got some skills out there. Monterey Hardman, their receiver, that guy's got some athletic talent out there as well. 850-623-1330 is the number. Let's try to get 1 or 2 calls in here on our Talk Football hotline before we go out to break. Caller, who's this?
Hey, Chad, this is Jonah. How you doing?
Hey, Jonah, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Coach K, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Jonah. Good to hear from you.
Thank you. I got 2 questions for you. I'm not sure how much time I got. Do you think that Joe Flacco was wrong for what he said? Understandably, the way he said it was not precise. But...
Absolutely, he was wrong. Nobody should get on there. No player should get before the press and condemn the way that the game was handled. That was the greatest example of something that should have been handled behind closed doors. Now, he not only affected the coaching staff, but he also now has put a damper on how they can handle their football team the rest of the year. So, in essence, he's hurt that whole organization very bad. Not good at all.
Okay, and do you feel that Alvin Kamara's stock or the view in which the Saints has changed, the way the Saints view him has changed with the emergence of Latavius Murray being a workhorse back?
No, I think Kamara is going to be, when they get him back, they'll be very, very happy to get him back. And I think having the big guy there is, will follow up to what they had before with the
Ingram and Kamara.
Ingram and Kamara, yeah. This kid, let me tell you, he's a hard runner now. He's got something to him. Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate y'all's insight as always.
All right. Appreciate it, Jonah.
Good to talk to you, Jonah.
Thanks for giving us a call. And we've also, for folks out there that are maybe driving around, look, it's very rare. I've worked in a lot of markets, and pretty much outside of the headquarters, you're not going to have an opportunity to ask an NFL coach an opportunity for any questions from Monday about your team. So here's the deal, though. We only have an hour and so much time to talk about. We're already actually 5 minutes over this break. So what we're going to do is we've opened up our Talk Football text line. 850-623-1330 is the number. It's 850-623-1330. Go ahead and send your comment or anything going on. My team stinks. The Dolphins are done. They're going to lose by 100 tonight, but they've got 20 draft picks for next season, I believe. I saw that stat. They have 13 picks, Coach, for the 2020 draft. That's insane. Every other play is going to be the Dolphins on the clock. 13 plays.
If somebody feels like they really want to call, that's fine. We'll make time for it.
We will. But if you just you don't want to call, but you want to ask a quick question, we'll get to them and we'll read them and have Coach get to them as well. We do have our winner. Want to announce that for our Pick'em contest. We'll make the winners. It's a $25 gift card to Calvert's and an opportunity as well. You can win for a day out there. You get 2 hours of shooting over at the Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. We're going to do a giveaway coming up as well. But for the Calvert's $25 gift card, Coach, the winner was Jerry Thompson from Pace. He picked 7 of the 8 games between LSU, Auburn, Bama versus Arkansas, Notre Dame, Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio State, New Orleans, Arizona, Philadelphia versus Buffalo, Green Bay, KC, and the matchups right there with San Francisco and Carolina. And he got 7 of the 8. The one he got wrong, and I think a lot of people did, Notre Dame. Michigan dominating. That was a good win.
Yeah, that was a big win.
Big win. All right, so Jerry, congratulations, and you have been the winner. We will post them out there, and you can be part of it, and we'll pick the games coming up here tomorrow. When we come back, we'll get to more of some of the big conversations. We'll hear Joe Flacco, and we'll also get to the first in the history of the NFL. That's right. It's coming back on Talk Football with Coach K right here on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Sometimes your bank, your family, and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
A change in season means it's time to check your tires. And Goodyear Auto Service has just what you need to make this fall great. Think weekend getaways, scenic drives, and great deals, like up to $225 in savings this month. That's $75 in instant savings when you purchase and install a set of 4 new Goodyear or Dunlop tires, plus up to $150 back on select tires by online or mail-in rebate when you use your Goodyear credit card. But hurry, this offer ends October 31st. Terms and conditions apply. Visit GoodyearAutoservice.com to learn more.
I hate Tom's Tulip Shop. It just smells so flowery. Like we good at your flower shop. You don't need to remind us.
No matter how hard you work for your small business, online reviewers will find something to complain about.
I needed a fake plant. They don't sell fake plants. Thanks for nothing, Tom.
And while Progressive can save you from these trolls, we can help you save money on commercial auto and business insurance.
Then he says, have a great day. I'll decide what kind of day to have.
Get a quote online today at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliated and third-party insurers.
The Paul Feinbaum Show.
Everything you wanted to happen hasn't happened.
Oh, my gosh. That's all any of y'all want to talk about is Alabama.
You're really not understanding the conversation, but anyway, we can move on.
Alabama's dynasty has just begun.
Hold on a second, Charles. Somebody wants to talk to you.
I don't want to talk that compelling moron.
He's nothing but a lame-headed old man.
2 till 5 every weekday afternoon. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
You're out of your freaking mind, cowturd.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola, 1330.
And welcome back. It is Talk Football with Coach K right here on this Monday. Getting done with 4-down territory and moving on here. Congratulations again, Jerry Thompson from Pace, the winner of our Calvert's in the Heights right there. Great food, great atmosphere. They got the NFL package, the giveaway right there for an opportunity each and every week to win a gift card for our Pick'ems contest. Got 7 of the 8 games right overall. And that's against the spread, too. So, I mean, heck, now what we're doing is what I'm really doing with this is, Coach, I'm getting Jerry's information so I can now ask him for my trip to Vegas coming up here soon, who should I pick? Because this guy obviously is 7-1. Is
Sure.
come back and pay off the mortgage for the month. No, looking at that not a good advice ever right there. Do not take that. Looking at the situation though with Joe Flacco, we talked about it during the break, and you were saying you, as a head coach, you never want to hear this, regardless of the way you feel about your team. But this was what Joe Flacco had to say after the loss to Indianapolis.
Well, I mean, come on. I just look at it like we're now a 2-6 football team, and we're like afraid to go for it in a 2-minute drill. You know, like who cares if you give the ball back to the guys with 1 minute and 40 seconds left? They obviously got the field goal anyway. And once again, we're a 2-6 football team, and it just feels like we're kind of afraid to lose a game. It's 3rd and 5 at the end of the game. You know, it's who cares if they have a timeout there at the end or not? You know, getting in field goal range isn't that tough. You know, so you're just putting your defense in these bad situations, and I just felt like, what do we have to lose? Like, why can't we be aggressive in some of these situations? That's kind of how I feel about a lot of the game today.
And that was a little of it right there, as Coach, and that was what he pretty much was saying right there, correct?
He's saying, yeah, these coaches really messed up the ball game. They took the game away from us as players because they didn't have enough guts to go.
Do you know Vic Fangio at all? Did you?
I know him, but not all that well.
He's a defensive mind, though, correct?
He's a defensive coach, yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. What he's saying, I agree with, but you don't say it.
You don't say it. You don't say it at all. Exactly.
It's not his spot, but I do agree with what he's saying, but you don't say that on the mic, though.
No, absolutely not. I mean, let me tell you, that's a cardinal sin, to be honest with you. Not just a bad thing to do. It's in the.
He shouldn't have gone on that press. He should have waited out or got fined by the NFL his $10,000 or whatever they call for not getting up there if he was that heated.
It was conduct detrimental to that team. I can promise you that. And what about Vic Fangio and his family and all the other coaches and their families and the whole, as I said a few minutes ago, the whole organization now will suffer to some extent.
You're right.
Because that creates a certain doubt with the other players. And it's a terrible, terrible situation. He's not qualified to make that decision. Even if it's the right decision, he's not qualified to make it.
You're right. And there's been a lot stupider calls. I mean, Kirby Smart is looked at as one of the better coaches in college football. He ran a 4th and 11 fake punt last year. that might have cost his team the chance at a national title, you know. So, but you can make bonehead calls. Kyle Shanahan is undefeated, and San Francisco might be he probably is right now, him or Bill Belichick, and it seems like, you know, Bill's a shoo-in every year, so they want to give it to somebody else. But Shanahan probably would be the coach of the year right now in the NFL, and he made probably the most horrific play calling in the history of the NFL in the Super Bowl when they had a shot to win the field goal and end it for Atlanta with a great kicker, Matt Bryant, and they went backwards 20 yards and out of field goal range with 2 minutes left in the game to ice the game. And he's going to be the coach of the year. But people are going to make boneheaded mistakes when you have that many, because the other 75 calls are in the game. Nobody's going to talk about the ones that go right, or the 3rd and 11 out route that is the guy who runs a 12-yard pattern and it's a perfect first down. They're going to talk about this. But Flacco did not need to throw his team, because ultimately everybody in Denver, everybody in the country is going to talk about it. And like you said, it's going to put the fillers out there for Fangio and many people to lose their job because of that. And that's just not right.
That's not right at all.
And, Joe Flacco doesn't have much room to talk either, because I saw him getting sacked all over the field.
He doesn't. And with that slow wind-up delivery of his, he creates a lot of problems for that football team himself. So.
And on top of that, too, you have a defense coach that, honestly, even though I agree with you should be trying to win the game, I'm about trying to win over trying to just not lose. But Joe Flacco, the defense was crushing the Indianapolis Colts that day. They were doing a great job. So to believe that they weren't going to march right down the field and get that field goal is not something. In a 40, if you're Oklahoma versus Kansas State and you lose a game like that, coach be like, come on, man, our defense has literally stopped nobody all day long. In this case, no. I think that Flacco was heated and really didn't have too much room to talk, because if anybody, he's making $120 million to be a bum right now as a quarterback, and I can say that because I'm just looking at the stats. He's better than me, but for an NFL caliber, it's not good. Jameis Winston, 4 turnovers. Did you see, by the way, how they lost that game?
No, I did not, to be honest. I didn't.
Did you hear about it, though? It's very bad.
I didn't even hear that much about it, to be honest.
They got a really terrible call their way. However, Jameis he's had 9 turnovers in the last 2 games, and they're now 2. They lose. They go to 2-5. The Tennessee Titans with Ryan Tannehill win 27-23. Just not a good look. Jameis Winston, though, at this point, if I had to ask you yes or no, will he be back as the quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2020?
No.
Yeah, I think it's each week it's getting to that point. Looking at the matchup right there where we talk the Saints. One of the people are weighing in right now. We got new messages coming in right here from Andrew. Seems the most sports analysts all say that Tua will be going to the draft next year, but Tua is a junior this year, and I think he could potentially stay for his senior season. His family moved to Alabama. The analysts are jumping the gun, or do you think Tua will leave to the NFL draft? That's from Andrew weighing in.
Yeah, we appreciate the question, Andrew. No question he'll leave. He's going to get millions of dollars. His family could certainly use it. He can legitimately come out. Now, you're right. He could stay for a senior season if he wanted to, but he's got to make that decision. He's got to turn down millions and millions of dollars to stay for that senior season. If he makes that decision, that's great. More power to him. But I don't think there's any way in the world he's going to make that decision. I think he is. They've already got everything planned for his coming out party.
Yeah, and we appreciate the question, Andrew. Well written up right there, and that's exactly what we want to hear. Our Talk Football hotline at 850-623-1330. You can text 850-623-1330. Text the question to our former NFL coach right here, Kay Stevenson, and he will answer your questions. Yeah, I agree. The only way I see him coming back, Coach, is if the high ankle sprain gets worse and he re-injures, where coaches and teams and GMs are staying away from him in the draft because of the injury, and he can recover during the offseason and come back for a senior season stronger. That's the only way that I see him staying. Only way.
That's a good point, but listen, a high ankle sprain, if this were a problem with his heart or his head or something like that, I could agree totally with you. Or a terrible, maybe a knee injury. I just can't see, unless something else happens, I just can't see him under any circumstances turning down that opportunity to go pro. This is not going to be lingering. He'll be ready to go by training camp. He'll be ready to go with all the preseason work. So
we had Jim weighing in right there, and just saw it a couple seconds ago about do you still think after the victory, even though they won and he looked great, was it a good move, and would you have made the move to play Breeze over Bridgewater?
That is a great, great question. There are 2 ways to look at it. We have to be very honest. Now, I had my doubts about playing Breeze because I felt that they could have a chance to win the ball game with Bridgewater playing. In one way, you hate to break up the success, but a bye week was coming after that. And would have given Breeze another 14 days to get the healing that he needs on that thumb. And I've had those before, and it takes a while to get the soreness out of there. I thought that maybe the best thing to do was to play Bridgewater originally, but then again, you got to look at the fact that, number one, Breeze felt it was necessary for him to get his touch back before going into the drive through the end of the season, and he wanted to get the get the wheel back in his hands and go out and do it. And it all happened, and he didn't re-injure in any way, so it worked out great. But the ultimate decision, good question, the ultimate decision may have been the wise thing to do, would have been to play Bridgewater and held Breeze out.
There it is right there. The conversation, not an easy one for a head coach and for anybody watching that game, but they do get the win 31-9. It was pretty much inevitable. They were going to beat Arizona one way or the other. I love Larry Fitzgerald, but he's the kind of guy that you would love to have on the team, but at the same time, he can't save that team. And a young rookie quarterback, they got problems. And they're young, and they're inexperienced. They're not ready to compete with a complete Saints team, and they got it done. We had the big screen out there at World of Beer and had some fun with it yesterday. Well, when we come back, we'll get to more of the big games coming up here with contenders versus pretenders in the NFL, taking a look at some of the best teams now at the halfway point, and also LSU versus Alabama. Do you agree or disagree that LSU now is number one? It doesn't really matter. They're both undefeated. Whoever played that game ultimately has to win, but now LSU number one in the polls over Alabama after the victory against Auburn. We're coming back for more. It's Talk Football with Coach K. Weigh in at 850-623-1330 on our text line. Our Talk Football text line, 850-623-1330, with your questions for the former NFL coach.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck, Bentley. That was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Pros know there's a lot more to a tile job than tile. But here's something even pros don't know. The Home Depot's just lowered prices on tile essentials. Everything from James Hardy backer board as low as $8.98 each to 50-pound bags of VersaBond mortar starting at only $11.68. And know this, we won't be beaten on flooring prices. Guaranteed. New lower prices on tile essentials for the pro, only at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Prices valid in select markets only.
The new Michelin silicone plates last through everything.
On a world record-breaking drive from Alaska to South America in unpredictable conditions.
Thunderstorms, ice storms, they just don't quit.
Rainier Zeitlo chose Michelin Endurance XT silicone wiper blades with advanced Quad-Tech 4-layer coated silicone that repels water, snow, and ice and lasts 2 times longer than other blades.
It's coming down in sheets.
Real world proven. Extreme weather wiping performance. Upgrade to Michelin Endurance XT silicone wiper blades today. Only at Walmart.
Friday nights in the fall are a magical time. It's Friday Night Lights, where new stars are born, where agony meets victory. ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM and sister station News Radio 92.3 AM 1620 brings you all play-by-play coverage during the week's best matchup. We are football. We are Friday Night Lights.
This Friday night at 7, the Tate Aggies take on the West Florida Tech Jaguars right here on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
And welcome back. It's Talk Football with Coach K on this Monday. So much to get to from the college NFL season. We're at the midway point of the NFL season, and we'll get to contenders and pretenders coming up here from the games. We'll also talk some more college football. Big game ahead as the Florida Gators and Georgia Bulldogs get set to go. The former Florida Gator quarterback will, that's Coach, that's a huge rivalry. And this year, for the first time, and I can't remember, because it seemed like Florida, even with Mark Richt, and he had some good football teams, Florida dominated the 2000 Urban Meyer era. Ever since then, Georgia has pretty much been the team to beat. And now, for the first time ever that I can remember it, well, forever, 10, 15 years, that this game means you could right now pick legitimately both teams who is the best. I mean, it's hard to tell who's the best team right now in the SEC East. And at the beginning of the season, it was very clear who the best was. Things have changed real quickly, and it's going to make this game even more intriguing.
Oh, I think it's going to be tremendously intriguing. Right now, you say pick it. I bet the spread's not going to be more than about 3.5 points in this game, if that. But you could this is almost to the point where legitimately you could flip a coin as to who might be the favorite, which goes to emphasize your point that would have never happened first of the season. It was overwhelmingly Georgia would have been favored in this game.
And looking at the game, they're waiting at this point right now. I was looking the other day for the Georgia-Florida line to talk about it, and I know they're looking at a couple things. The injuries to the Florida Gators are holding the line out, and they could do that. Vegas can take the line, and I just realized too, because I did know it, and then I just Googled, and apparently if you Google Florida Georgia line, you get a bunch of country singers because they're really good and they're a band again. So if you do Florida Georgia line on there, just get pictures of the actual band and not for football. But here's the thing, in this case right now, it's going to be. I'm looking at it right now. The initial line, and it can move based on the injuries, but they're giving Georgia about a 61% chance of winning, and it is now Georgia opens as a 6-point favorite over Florida.
Well, that's much higher than I thought. I'll bet Danny Sheridan set that line because he loves Georgia.
Well, what they're doing too is they're setting that line, but I bet by game time that goes down to about 4.5.
It's going to come down.
Yeah, it'll come down. And look, I mean, there are some people that would say though, even though Georgia's had their problems, if you can get Georgia by less than a touchdown, some people will assume that haven't watched Florida grow. Because what happens is the mindset of a lot of people, there's going to be people, Coach, forming an opinion based on what they saw against Miami. And that team wasn't that good of a football team. We both said, the way they played with Felipe Franks, the way, if anybody looked at that game that the whole entire world was watching who's a football fan, because it was the only game, week 0, Florida versus Miami. That team is completely different than the team that plays this week.
Yeah, there's no question about that. I can't even remember that team, to be honest.
That's a completely different Gator team, right? Well, Gator fans would like to forget, even though they won that, they'd like to forget that team. Let's get to some of the topics that we got to get to here from the NFL in contenders versus pretenders, taking a look at teams that have a legit chance to not only make the playoffs, but and it's real simple that the teams like San Francisco, the teams like New England, the teams like the Saints, those are the three that are going to be talked about, and that's pretty clear. However, we're talking about teams that could make the playoffs and make a run. Coach, the Minnesota Vikings, contender or pretender?
Oh, they're a contender for sure. In fact, Minnesota may be coming on this last part of the year. They may be up there in the 1 or 2 spot.
Looking at the Houston Texans after winning that game, and now they've moved to 5-3.
I don't think so. I think they're better teams in their division. Could be better teams in their division, meaning Jacksonville and the Colts.
Here's going to be a tough one. They're 4-4, but they showed this week when they play a complete game, and we both called it, I think, with Philadelphia against Buffalo, the way they were going to show up based on that. Mm-hmm. Buffalo hadn't played anybody. Buffalo had literally played the 6 worst teams in the NFL, and they were sitting there at 5-1 going into the game. Now, you look at this matchup, or the 5 worst teams. Sorry, New England's not, but they looked at this matchup, and in Philadelphia, that was a complete game. And there was a lot of Eagles fans out there. They even had their chant, by the way. These annoying Fly Eagle. Sorry if you're listening out there, it's your chant, but the Fly Eagles fly and all this. But they dominated that football game in a big win.
Yeah,
but
they did.
Are the Eagles a contender?
Yes, they are. I've liked the Eagles and Minnesota since day one. And I think they'll come back. They'll coming down the stretch. They'll be to contend with. Yeah.
Seattle 6-2.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're going to be a contender.
LA Rams. I feel like even though the Bengals are a very bad team, that game was in London. Like that. London has gotten some really horrible football they've gotten over there. That they're like, I'm going back to the soccer stadium over there after they get the Bengals and they get Jameis Winston throwing 5 picks in a game. I mean, they've had, but in this matchup, you have the LA Rams now 5-3. They've won 2 straight, and they're starting to look more like that team that got to the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah. I guess you'd have to call them contender because they've been there. They've played in some big games, and they've won some big games. They've got all the ingredients, but let's just call them a contender.
All right, and then moving on here to a team in the that a lot of people aren't talking about, but they just continue to find a way to win. You know this team better than anyone. The Indianapolis Colts, right there with Frank Reich and how they continue to win.
Yeah, they're a contender. And of course they're loaded with better teams in the NFC this year than the AFC, and it's cyclical. It goes back and forth. But no, I think the Colts are legitimate contenders.
Baltimore Ravens at 5-2.
I don't think you can take a totally non-NFL team and go into through the latter stages of the schedule and end up in the playoffs and win it. No,
I think too you got to look at. To be a champion, you got to beat the champion. And in the AFC, could you see an Indianapolis Colts team going in there and putting up a grinder against the Pats? I could. I'm not saying they're going to it, but you could see a couple of plays where their defense physically is a back and forth. It's a 13-10 ball game in the fourth. I can see that. I couldn't see Lamar Jackson going into Gillette and out-dueling Brady in a game where they have to. They could the game plan Belichick would draw up for that is one that I don't think they would have a shot.
Well, you're gonna be able to see it. I think next week.
Yes,
the Pats play the Ravens.
I actually offered to go to the game by a friend, and apparently that is not on the when you got a lot of different jobs going on, and we're moving into a new home. That's something where I'm learning as a husband. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, honey, I know you've been doing a ton of stuff, and she's on the phone all day, she's kicking some butt for our moving on the phone, changing those things that you don't think of at first, but your addresses, Cox Cable, everything going on, and then she goes out there and nothing like coming home and saying, hey, honey, I know I got finally a weekend off. I'm gonna go get in the car and head to Baltimore with my friend. How about that? So that's not a good way to start the holiday season.
No, it's not the best. Not the best.
So I'll be watching that at home and at World of Beer. Looking at the other games here, contender or pretenders. There's only a few left here, and one of them, the Dallas Cowboys at 4-3.
Yeah, another NFC team. My goodness, we got a hassle of them over there to throw in the pot. It's going to be interesting to see how they come out. I think they're a contender, but I think they're a weak contender. I really do. I think they will be on the fringe if they're in there.
Carolina Panthers, not anymore after what we saw. I agree. They were, a good team. It showed them what they were this week in a matchup, and definitely not a heavyweight right now. When we come back, we're going to get some more on the games coming up here tonight. Monday Night Football. The coin toss might be exciting. It's Miami 0-6 versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steeler fans will show up in full force and have some fun, but for Dolphin fans, they're excited because they have 13 picks in next year's NFL Draft. We're coming back for more. It's Talk Football with Coach K right here on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Dude, it's game day, and I'm fired up that football is back.
I know, but I'm bummed they don't show my favorite team on TV around here.
All right, well, what about that place Calvert's? They're a really cool English pub-style restaurant, and they have a really good drink menu.
Yeah, but what about the game?
Don't worry, they have the NFL Sunday Ticket and plenty of TVs, so we can watch any game that we want.
Ooh, I just looked at the menu and that Abbey Road burger is calling my name.
Calvert's in the Heights Restaurant and Bar, 3102 East Cervani Street, calvertsintheheights.com.
There's only one place in town for the lowest prices and greatest selection of firearms. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Visit our fully stocked Gun Pro shop for new and used firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Check out the Indoor Shooting Range. We offer rentals on guns, including fully automatic machine guns and silencers. Ladies, this is the safe place to learn how to use a gun. Plus, Tuesday is Ladies' Day. Women shoot for half price all day. The best place to buy firearms in Pensacola. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Highway 29 in Car City.
It's time for some straight talk. You know those football players who are all talk, no show? Well, big wireless carriers aren't much different. Well, Straight Talk Wireless doesn't give you the hype, just the savings. For just $45 a month, you'll get the unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data, then 2G. No contract. All on the same 4G LTE networks as the big guys, but up to half the cost. Savings delivered right to your wallet. Only at Walmart. Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Do you have frequent heartburn? Like the kind where you have antacid stashed everywhere in case it pops up? You know what I mean. You keep some in your bag or your desk or your car or your nightstand. You have those chalky tablets ready for whenever and wherever heartburn strikes. Well, listen up. There's an easier way to deal with your heartburn. Prilosec OTC. Just one pill a day will last a full 24 hours with zero heartburn. Kick your antacid habit. It's possible with Prilosec OTC.
Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
Nationals, Astros, the 2019 Fall Classic is here, and it lives on Pensacola's home for ESPN Radio. Baseball's final stage is on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola, 1330.
You either had a fan base right there getting really excited or just cringing right now. We have a lot of Alabama fans in this area. We'll have the Roll Tide Radio Show, which I'll be hosting. Nothing like segueing into that with this. But the LSU fight song right there is LSU now jumping to number one. And frankly, to true fans of football, it shouldn't matter because in 2 weeks after the bye week, the game will be decided on the field. And then the true number one will show up. But at the same time, today in the polls, LSU jumping to number one over Alabama. And it was, to me, honestly, though, Coach, I wasn't surprised because they don't deserve it. I was surprised that somebody jumped Alabama because Alabama didn't do anything to me to showcase themselves. When Clemson lost their spot, they played terrible against North Carolina. Alabama dominated Arkansas, and they were number one. So when teams are number one and they do everything they can to dominate them, they're just basically dropping them based on that they played against Arkansas. And, I mean, they at that time, they can't expect Arkansas to be losing to San Jose State.
No, I really think I think they're justified in moving LSU to number one, and the reason being is because they beat another top 10 team. They beat Auburn. Okay, big ball game. So they've beaten a number of top 10 teams now, and when they played them, they were top 10. So they deserve to be there. Now, it doesn't really matter. It matters nothing because LSU and Alabama will play a week from this coming Saturday in Tuscaloosa in what will be, by proxy, the national championship game.
Yes.
I think it'll be no different than the true national championship game. And so that's going to be the determination factor, not what somebody did on past wins and losses.
Well, and not only that, too, Coach, it's irrelevant now. When the polls used to have a lot of bearing, but now the College Football Committee poll is the only one ultimately that will get you the chance to win. So these other two polls right now, because the AP has LSU number 1 and Alabama 2. And the coaches poll has Alabama 1, LSU 2. But those are irrelevant once the other poll comes out, because the College Football Playoff Committee is going to select the teams that get to that spot. Not these two.
Really, they're irrelevant right now.
Yeah,
period,
you're right,
because they're going to meet in less than 14 days. The two teams are going to play. So it'll be decided then. The polls don't make any difference right now, one way or the other.
The biggest relevance right now, what they do mean, is the way that they have an Ohio State over a Penn State, or a team, if they don't play each other, and let's say both teams in a conference finish with the same record. If you're ahead of that team in the poll and you don't play them, you feel comfortable right now that you will stay that way. That's where the poll plays, is if you've got, a one-loss Georgia is ahead of a one-loss Oklahoma, a one-loss Florida, those kind of things. That means more. But no, you're right. If you're playing the team and you're both undefeated at 8-0, just sets up for more hype, which it will. A huge week coming up here as a Florida Gator quarterback and a guy that you got to be proud of the way that Dan Mullen and this team have gone out there and getting ready for their biggest game with Florida versus Georgia right now. Number 6 versus number 7. Coach, I'm telling you, this is going to be an exciting game this week, and it always is fun at the World's Largest Outdoor Cocktail Party in Jacksonville, but this week is going to be even more exciting.
Well, it is, and the difference, and one reason Florida has been so consistent, less up and down, peaks and valley, it's been the play of the quarterback, and I attribute a lot of that to Dan Mullen too. I think they're doing a heck of a job coaching. The whole staff, defensively, they're playing well, and then he's doing an outstanding job with the quarterback. And Trask is playing well, playing much more consistently than they've had quarterback play at the University of Florida. So then they continued to grow. Chad continued to grow and get better defensively, and with their running game in the up front as well, while they were getting that consistency and having a chance to win a ball game.
Well, and it shows, and it's pretty exciting right there. And they got the job. That was a good – Auburn is a respectable and a good football team, and I hope people understand this from this game. I hope people realize with Auburn and LSU, as we flip over from the Florida Gator conversation, LSU winning that football game against Auburn this week, I hope people realize it wasn't just LSU won by 3 at home, and people should be surprised. People should say, you know what, that's a good Auburn team that LSU found a way to win a great ball game. That's what I would say.
Well, it is, and you know what? Auburn has still got Georgia and Alabama.
Jeez, it doesn't stop for them. I mean, nothing like starting your season off when you know you have Alabama, Georgia, LSU, Texas A&M every year, regardless, and Florida, and then this year in the cross division. And then why not just start at neutral field against a top 10 Oregon team? How about that? Well, Coach, it's been fun. It's going to be an exciting week. So much to talk about. Miami and Pittsburgh tonight. I don't even need to get your pick. We'll just say congratulations, Steelers. Coach, see you tomorrow. Looking forward. All right.
Look forward to it.
For Coach K. Stevenson, I'm Chad Brillante. We'll be back for more with the Roll Tide Radio Show coming up here on ESPN Pensacola, brought to you by Gordon Auto Wholesale for all of Talk Football and all the great sponsors from the Levin Papantonio Law Firm and more. Thank you for being part of a great show. We're coming back for more.
Football season has arrived, and ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM is where the action is. Bringing your high school football every Friday night, UWF football on Saturdays, and the NFL on Sundays. If you would like to partner with ESPN Pensacola as a sponsor or promotional partner, give us a call at 262-6000.
ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM. WEBY Milton, Pensacola.
ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. I'm Davis Allen with your sports headlines. It was all UWF in Melbourne on Saturday as the Argos went into Florida Tech, defeating them 38-14 for their 6th straight win. Undefeated in conference play at 5-0. They'll return back home this Saturday for a matchup against North Greenville. Kickoff is scheduled for 4 o'clock. At the World Series, Yordan Alvarez, Carlos Correa, and George Springer all launched 2-run home runs for the Houston Astros as they defeated the Washington Nationals 7-1 in Game 5 of the World Series. Garrett Cole earned the win for Houston, which won all 3 games in Washington to take a 3-2 series lead in the best-of-7 series. Juan Soto homered for the Nats, and Joe Ross took the loss. Game 6 is tomorrow in Houston. And in the NFL, the New England Patriots and the San Francisco 49ers are the only teams that are undefeated after wins on Sunday Sunday. New England topped Cleveland 27-13 in Bill Belichick's 300th career win. The San Francisco 49ers, they went on to crush Carolina 51-13. The Green Bay Packers moved to 7-1 after defeating the Kansas City Chiefs 31-24 on Sunday Night Football. The Los Angeles Rams topped the winless Cincinnati Bengals 24-10 in London, and the Indianapolis Colts edged out the Denver Broncos 15-13 on a late field goal. As for the Houston Texans, they will have to finish the season without Pro Bowl defensive end J.J. Watt. ESPN reports he tore a pectoral muscle in the 27-24 win over the Oakland Raiders on Sunday, and he will miss the rest of the year. Watt finishes the season with 4 sacks. He confirmed the news on Twitter after the game. And in Japan, Tiger Woods is 1 win away from setting the PGA Tour all-time wins record. Woods shot a 3-under final round in the Zozo Championship in Japan. This was his 82nd career victory on the tour, which ties him with Sam Snead for most all-time. I'm Davis Allen with your sports headlines for ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Stephen A. Smith here. If you're like me, you have a mortgage and a family who depends on your income, then you need to protect the ones you love with life insurance. Life insurance can help pay off a mortgage or send the kids to college. It's peace of mind. Think you can afford it? Chances are Select Quote can help you get it for less than $1 a day. Select Quote comparison shops up to 10 highly rated companies, including Prudential, Banner Life, and Mutual of Omaha, and others, to find you the company with the best rates. For example, Select Quote could find a 35-year-old man a $500,000 policy for under $21 a month. That's less than $1 a day. Select Quote's breakthrough technology allows them to quickly match you with the best insurance company to find your best policy. Plus, quotes are free. Start protecting your family today. Call Select Quote at 1-800-601-6992. That's 1-800-601-6992. Or go to selectquote.com/Smith.
Get full details in the example policy at selectquote.com/commercials. Your premium could vary depending on health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Gordon Auto Wholesale says yes. No credit, bad credit, bankruptcies, no problem. Over 250 vehicles in stock. Third row SUVs and trucks. Everyone's approved. Gordon Auto Wholesale is the bank and can help you get into a nice, clean vehicle. Carfax checked. Need a new car? Gordon Auto says yes. Can't buy one from the other dealers? Come see Gordon Auto Wholesale on Palafox, just 2 blocks south of Airport. Or call 479-9200. That's 479-9200.
Friday nights in the fall are a magical time. It's Friday Night Lights, where new stars are born, where agony meets victory. ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM and sister station News Radio 92.3 AM 1620 brings you all play-by-play coverage during the week's best matchup. We are football. We are Friday Night Lights.
This Friday night at 7, the Tate Aggies take on the West Florida Tech Jaguars. Right here on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM.
Welcome into the Roll Tide Radio Show right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Chad Brillante alongside Coach K. Stevenson, kind enough to spend a little time after his show, talk football with Coach K. He's going to break down some of the victory against Arkansas right there. And the Roll Tiders now moving into a big game against LSU. Eric Vadrine will join me as well as a co-host, and will be joining us as well back on the Sports Drive. Good to see him move. I could have advised him. Look, I moved 16 U-Haul trucks, and he's a bigger guy, stronger guy, younger, doesn't have back pains as much, and can lift things higher on a truck. But still, I could have told him hiring movers is something to definitely do going forward. Welcome back. Having some fun. Coach, right in, thank you for your time here on the Roll Tide Radio Show, brought to you by Gordon Auto Wholesale and Roll Tide. I mean, they go out there and another dominant win.
Yeah. Very, very interesting football team. Yep.
And Mac Jones, the return of the Mac that nobody wanted to see, I guess. The guy that was able to go out there, and it's not because they don't like him, but they'd rather see Tua's face out there at quarterback. Tua's hurt. He took the week. They're trying to get him back out on the football field. But what did you think? Because it is hard to judge based on dominating Arkansas, because there are San Jose State fans that could care less probably right now, or hanging out on the beach that watch their team walk in, get paid $1.2 million to go out there and beat Arkansas. Arkansas is a bad football team right now, and they've got problems. But Alabama and Mac Jones made some pretty consistent plays, and there's a reason he's wearing a historic national title uniform. He wouldn't be there if he didn't know how to play.
Well, that's for sure. I'm not all that familiar with his credentials as a high schooler coming out. I do know he was a highly rated high schooler coming out, and he chose Alabama, which is certainly no surprise. I was impressed, very impressed with Mac Jones in this ball game. I think he offers a tremendous amount in the way of stability. He seems to be a very bright young man, well-schooled, do what he's asked to do. And let me tell you, I look at the way quarterbacks throw the ball, release, get the ball up, how it spins coming out of there, the torque from the waist up, stepping with the feet, footwork. I try to notice all that, especially when I see the ball coming out and a great, accurate throw downfield. I watch even closer. And this kid's got it. I like him. He's a good-looking quarterback.
And he's not going to be made to look into a fool for two reasons. You got a great running game and a great offensive line, which is going to give you the stability where if you do a play action, you have to bite and you have to respect it. And secondly, on top of that, you've got the best receiving corps probably in the history of college football. So if we went out there, and people throw the ball around and have some fun, if you're just out in the yard, or you're hanging out at Thanksgiving with your dad and you're throwing a football, if you're airmailing it into the road, you got problems. I mean, most people should be able to throw a football to the other guy. All you need to do is put it in a spot, and these guys will catch it. And they're that good. Now, Tua's the real deal with arm strength. Mac Jones is a good quarterback, but if anybody is going to help somebody get better and get more confidence, it's this receiving corps.
Well, sure, but you still got to get it there.
You got to get it there. I agree.
Because I can tell you, I know some quarterbacks right now that are playing that
they can't get it there.
They could be wide open and they couldn't get it there. Couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Now, here's another thing that's interesting. This kid is, if you look around the Southeastern Conference right now, who would you trade him for? I mean, maybe the kid over at Georgia.
Yeah, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think Florida's quarterback is in the running. But you may not trade him for anybody in the Southeastern Conference right now. And he's backing up Tua, but will be there for another 2 years. So all bodes well for Alabama.
Yes, it does. And sorry I looked away there. We got Sam Darnold's friend over here knocking my stuff around over here, I guess, Casper. But I'm telling you, Coach, it's right now when you see what is happening with the Alabama Crimson Tide, if you're an Alabama fan today, because Alabama fans, last time I listened to a couple minutes of Paul Feinbaum, sometimes they can get a little emotional. I've heard that before. I've heard that. People have been shot over the Iron Bowl in games. Now, I don't go that far, and that's stupid to even talk about that, but that's how far this rivalry goes, where people will get in fights and families will be lost and house divided bumper stickers will be used as weapons. So at this point, if you're an Alabama fan, though, do you feel even with the victory that you are confident enough to walk in there and feel that going into work on Monday that being number 2 is okay? I mean, because that's what I'm saying. As a fan, we understand, we've broken it down that they're going to play next week. But do you feel that there's a lot of Alabama fans out there that are upset to see them number 2 and to have LSU 1 this week?
I'm sure there are. I have no question about that. But I can promise you that it's totally irrelevant. Mm-hmm. Even if they weren't playing for 2 months, it still wouldn't be that big a deal. But they're playing in 13 days, for crying out loud, or 12 days. These guys are going to meet for what is, for all intents and purposes, the national championship game. So the poll, doesn't matter what poll it is, AP coaches, even the lords of football that sit on the committee. Doesn't matter who's got whom rated where. It doesn't matter right now. It has absolutely no relevance. So please don't worry about that in particular, that situation.
I want to ask you this question just because you are one of very few people that have been in a locker room to get to say something. And I hope this has never happened to you, because I would say very few teams in the history of football have had to deal with this. But Arkansas, I'm watching that game. I only watched the first half. And anybody outside of a Bama fan should have only watched the first half, because it was 34-0 at one point with 7 seconds left. And Arkansas is finally moving the football. They're down at the 16-yard line. They've got a shot. And, Coach, they throw a pick. And Trevon Diggs takes it back to the house for a touchdown as pretty much the clock expires before half to go down 41-0. If you're Chad Morris and you are getting paid, maybe not too much longer, but you're getting paid at Arkansas, how the heck do you go into that locker room and have anything outside of drinking 15 Red Bulls with Coach O to get them pumped? Because you were down 34-0 anyway. It was going to be embarrassing. But that pick makes it 41-0 in Bryant-Denny with a backup quarterback, and your guy just threw a pick six about a whole football field back to the house to end the half on a drive that finally looked like he had some kind of positive building on it. As a coach, what do you – or do you just say, guys, just go ahead and grab some water and we'll get on the bus here early maybe? What do you say at that point, Eddie?
No, I couldn't tell you right now what I would say.
It's about as awful as it gets,
yeah. But you find something to say, and not that it's going to mean very much when you're down 41-0. But and anyway, that's a terrible situation. I've been in a couple of locker rooms now where it was not the best situation, I can assure you.
Tennessee taking a victory formation kneel last week looks a lot better now to lose when you could have just kneeled and gone down 34-0, and now you're down 41-0. But no, that's bad. I was watching that, and then the second half. But it was 41-0 at halftime, by the way, against Arkansas. Then the second half, 7-7. But that's what happens. Nick Saban, that's the typical over the last decade. Nick Saban, you win the first half.
He calls the dogs off.
He calls them off, and he has respect for the coaches around. He respects the game. A lot of people you'll see doing play action downfield, and they, a lot of the Big 12 type young coaches are, I know that's their style, and I might coach like that too. So I'm not going to say I'm not like berating people, but Nick's old school. He comes from the game where his hair might tell you otherwise, but he uses that. He's got the Just for Men going like the commercials. He's 67 now, so he's up there. He's been around the game. He has respect the other he's not going to rub it in, and he doesn't care about what spread, because Alabama seems they're always in a 40, 50-point spread against bad teams, but he doesn't care about that. And
he's always doing something that will be good for his football team. Let me tell you, those situations that you're talking about, it's not just that he calls the dogs off for respect for his opponent. He is building depth for his football team. He's quick to put those young kids in there when he gets to a certain point. And listen, he's so thorough. I'm sure he's thought about this. At a certain point in the ball game, if we're up by, or if we're behind by so much, but if we're up by so much at a certain point, we're going to put, I want so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so by name. I want them in the ball game. And what he's doing is building depth so that as he goes through the year and they get into a big ball game, he can get so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so that he's given a lot of playing time, and he's got a lot of film on, and he's got some confidence built in. Now he has no problem putting them in the ball game. So he's getting these young kids some exposure and building depth, which is good for Alabama football.
Coach, quickly, he's had the College Football Secret Service. I was over at an event. He spoke at the Emerald Coast Convention Center for the All Sports Association, and he was leaving right there, Harbor Walk Village in the Emerald Grand over there, and he had 15 black pretty much cars around his car. No joke. That's because everywhere he goes, around this area, people are waiting outside. Will you marry me, Nick? No, he's got a family and kids, but like those signs everywhere you look. But the thing is, around the coaching world, do you feel the other coaches when he goes out to the SEC Media Days in Sandestin, and Les Miles was there over the years, or you see Edo, or see these guys like Dan Mullen, Is he respected to the point where they feel, have you seen him personally? Because I know you've coached a little bit longer than he did, but do you feel the people around him have that mutual respect, or is he usually more like, hey, I'm Nick Saban, I'm walking through here? When what you've heard and what you've seen.
Great question. I could go on for 30 minutes about this, but I will tell you it's an odd situation. I have heard some very derogatory things about Saban from other coaches, okay? Because there is a jealousy factor, no doubt about it. I think it's crazy because he's one hell of a coach. He's a great coach. So I think it's ridiculous for anybody to say anything about him. But he does have some things that give people rise to jump him about, his personality and so on. At the Senior Bowl, he arrives with an entourage of cars, too, when everybody else is hitching rides and that type thing. And he makes his one-day appearance at practice at the Senior Bowl, and it's quite a show when he comes in over there. But the way he handles himself, and a lot of it is because he has to.
Mm-hmm.
He has to, or he would just be inundated and telling people, no, that's all he would be doing all the time. So you have to understand, you have to be able to understand that. And the one thing you have to understand, if you don't recognize this guy as a great coach, you're kidding yourself. And you're kidding everybody around you because he is that.
Everybody, and that's the thing, is if any team out there, any team right now in college football, Ryan Day, the way he's doing, Ed O, the way he's, and the whole staff, no matter who it is right now, if Bill Belichick, as much as he sometimes looks homeless with the cutoffs leads and always is making people upset in the media, no matter who it is with Belichick and Saban, not one fan that is a fan of football, it has any reality to the world, would pass on having Belichick or Saban as their head coach. Not one.
It'd be crazy if they did.
It would be insane if they did. And even if you had the hatred, if you're listening to an LSU fan or an Auburn fan who had him at one point at LSU, but whoever it is, you would still take him in a heartbeat and dump your coach and say, good luck, thanks, get the kids. I'll get the moving truck for you for the other coach. And the respect factor, because they're that good. They're that good at what they do.
They're the two best. I don't care how you cut it. And people can go with all these other theories and so on. They don't hold water. The only thing that holds water is what have you done?
And dominate a decade for both of them.
Dominated professional and college football.
Which is not easy to do these days at all, as Florida State. When we come back, we'll get some more. I shouldn't be razzing on Florida State. They get a good victory against Syracuse. We'll lay off them this week. We'll go Noles. When we come back, we'll talk some more Alabama football. Coach, I appreciate your time as always.
You are welcome.
Thank you. Coach K. Stevenson, talk football with Coach K each and every afternoon from 12 to 1. We'll be back for more Roll Tide Radio. Eric Vadrine will join us, and we'll get the perspective from a LSU fan. Have some fun, and he'll join us here. Welcome Eric back. He's been out there moving and having some fun. Good to see he's back with his family from Tallahassee and back here at ESPN Pensacola. And we'll get to more on what's going on. I'll figure out what Lene Kakua is doing over here that knocked over my drink, and talking to you guys when we return right here on the Roll Tide Radio Show, brought to you by the Gordon Auto Wholesale. If Gordon Auto Wholesale says yes when everybody else says no, and no finance, no credit, bad credit, don't sweat it. They'll take care of you right there. 2 blocks south on Airport on Old Palafox right there. 2 blocks south of Airport on Old Palafox. And check them out today as they get you in the car of your dreams for less. Coming back for more, it's Roll Tide Radio on ESPN Pensacola.
You wanted a toy at the store when you were a kid. Mom said no. You wanted a date as a teenager. The homecoming queen said no. Now, as an adult, you want a car. And all the dealers keep saying no. Finally, there's someone in Pensacola who will say yes. It's Gordon Auto Wholesale on Old Palafox, just 1 block south of Airport Boulevard. Now with a huge selection of third-row SUVs in stock. No credit, bad credit, repos, no problem. Say yes to Gordon Auto Wholesale. Call them at 850-479-9200, 479-9200, and hear yes right now.
It's time for some straight talk. You know those football players who are all talk, no show? Well, big wireless carriers aren't much different. Well, Straight Talk Wireless doesn't give you the hype, just the savings. For just $45 a month, you'll get the unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data, then 2G. No contract. All on the same 4G LTE networks as the big guys, but up to half the cost. Savings delivered right to your wallet. Only at Walmart. Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Local sports radio doesn't stop on Fridays, which is why we bring you Sports Call with Davis and Justin.
College football, NFL, the MLB playoffs, UWF football. We're talking about the big games and sporting news every Saturday from 11 to 1.
Plus, interviews with the athletes, coaches, and fellow journalists.
Sports Call with Davis and Justin.
11 to 1 every Saturday on Pensacola's home for local sports, ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Sports Call with Davis and Justin.
Speaking of embarrassment, Michigan should be embarrassed. You can't really buy into them right now.
Top sports stories, the biggest games.
And you can make Aaron Rodgers force a mistake more. Tom Brady, it's hard to make him force a mistake in those situations.
The weekends are made for sports, so catch Sports Call with Davis and Justin every Saturday from 11 to 1 on Pensacola's home for sports. ESPN Pensacola, 1330, FM 99.1.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
You know, I feel like there's a station out there, and we're part of ADX Communications. They've got 3 great stations and another one coming soon. The excitement coming up here of 94.5 ESPN Pensacola, what it used to be right there, coming up here for the holidays. It's right now, if you flip over there, it's getting you pumped for what might be something fun coming up. But ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1. You got Cat Country 98.7, who's getting ready for the CMA Awards as the country music station of the year. And for folks who don't know, there's about 13 to 14,000 small market groups across America. So when you start putting that, it's easy to win accolades. Like Matt Gates got me a medal for Community Service Award, because I do a lot of things, MC Dragon Boat Festival, and I've done a lot of things for the community for free on behalf of my time. Less these days, as I'm running out of time and voice to do things. But at the same time, I do a lot of charity work on the weekends. I work with about 4 or 5 different charities, part of groups, great groups like Northeast Sertoma, and the folks down there, even though they haven't seen me, I'm like a ghost. I'm like Sam Darnold's friend, but I've still pay the dues, but I haven't been down there in a while from 7 o'clock meetings in the morning. But I do recognize that, but many people are given that sheet of paper that he probably has someone's stamp now and not his real signature. When it comes down to Cat Country, they had about 14,000 people going against them. And Eric, joining us, Eric Vadrine, 14,000, and they were selected once again as the station. That's pretty sweet right there.
Yeah, that's when you know it has some
You're
credibility.
pretty good right there, yeah.
It's like I was valedictorian at a class of 3. Oh, man, look at you. You got the gold chain like Trinidad James, and you didn't really earn it, but it's okay. Congrats. But
March Madness, you got 68 teams now that they've added. If you get by the other 67, and you don't have to play them all, but if you are the one that wins out of 67, you are the man for what you've done. Like 14,000. If there was a bracket competition, they don't have time to mess with it. They know they're the best.
Even if you had a leap year, it would take you forever to try to narrow that down.
So with Cat Country, with News Radio, and they do an incredible job with the weather and the tornadoes in Mobile. There's been a lot of stuff on the news, and News Radio is always breaking. They got their news team down there. I just went down there, Brian and Cheryl and everybody working, and they're just 24 hours on the clock doing a great job. Mark just had his birthday. Happy birthday, Mark. But what I got to this is we have so many moving pieces with so many stations. You know, at the same time, you look at Alabama and what they've been able to accomplish. This is a team that all the moving pieces go back to one guy, Nick Saban, because it's always a new offensive coordinator, a new defensive coordinator, a new whatever. I don't know if they even have a special teams coach based on their kicking game.
The
over
common
the years,
denominator
exactly.
is what you're getting to.
Yeah, that's the one job if you shake hands, and he might be a really cool dude. And I can't believe I pay no attention to it because of I guess I'm typing in right now Alabama special teams coordinator. Just based on that, I know every coach but that because of how bad. I bet some people do based on they want to get a new kicker. But Jeff Banks, no clue that Jeff Banks was the special teams coordinator.
No.
No clue. Never have. Sounds
and that's,
like
that's part of like the complaint with the fan base is like Clemson doesn't really have high turnover like Alabama does, so they've kind of been pinpointing that as like a potential reason as to why they've been split in the series with Clemson. Is because they've actually had the same nucleus more than just Alabama has, with Nick Saban being the common denominator. They swap people out left and right, but Clemson has kind of had low turnover and kept the same people. So I know that's like one big beef that they're having with the little Clemson series that they keep matching up with.
Yeah, he was with Texas A&M for 5 years. He's in his second season there, right there with head coach Nick Saban on a staff for special teams. But he's back first year with that. He saw his punt return defense ranked 5th nationally. So he's a good – I mean, the players returning punts are great. It's the field goal kicking that has been bad over the years. And I guess when you're so good at everything else, people will notice
you'll
that.
sacrifice it.
You know what I'm saying? It's like when those supermodels are walking by, like, I really don't like that eyeshadow. Ugh, do you see that eyeshadow she's wearing? They're like, no, I'm not looking at the eyeshadow. I'm sorry.
And that's just more like a life
I'm
thing.
not looking anywhere, by the way. I'm not looking at all. I want to make that clear.
But that just shows you, like, they're always going to find something to complain about. Like,
exactly.
You and me, we've talked on the Sports Drive, and I've always said, like, there's, like, 3 athletes I truly believe are just exempt from criticism, but they still find a way to criticize people like LeBron James and, Mike Trout. It just, like, some players that I don't believe should ever get criticized because no person is ever perfect, but, like, they're as close to it as possible in their profession. I mean, if you're trying to criticize Nick Saban for the things that he's done, I mean, dear Jesus, you're fishing with any type of bait you can find at this point.
And I know you respect, look, we both have ties, happy wife, happy life to LSU. You
Correct.
lived in Louisiana, and deservingly so. What a great win. They're number 1 in the polls.
Yeah.
This is the Roll Tide radio show, so I'm going to reverse and retract this.
We'll talk about it on the Sports Drive.
Later. But I'm telling you, when you look right now, Jarvis Landry played there, to your point. Jarvis is a guy, cool dude, but Landry goes out there and says, yeah, we'll take care of the Pats. And then they're like, why? Like, we got it. I'm like, that's not an answer, sir. That's not. If I'm like, you know what, I can play center in the NBA. Really? Be like, can you dunk? No, we got this.
Don't need to.
No. I'm a 6-foot white boy on a good spiky hair day. I'm not going to, ever play at any position. And you know what? This is the difference is you look right now at Jarvis Landry. That was such a why would you say that? And if anybody can take a page, I know. But 27 look, they had no shot in that game the whole time. And everybody knew that too. New England hasn't lost a home game in 2.5 years. They're not going to lose the Browns, who are 2-5. I mean, but making that comment like Jared Hawker and our pick, it gets people razzed. And, for Alabama, they're used to hearing this kind of stuff. So I guess you have to find something with their kicking game. But this week wasn't that bad. I mean, they went out there. They
opened it
plays.
up with the field goal.
Yeah, I mean, Belovis is going out there, and he's making some big kicks. And that's something to build on. 48-7 victory for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Did you get to see any of it? And it's okay if you say no based on that when it is a 40-point spread pretty much against a team that pays teams to actually then beat them in Arkansas, who is now 0-5 in conference play this year. It is okay to say you didn't, because I didn't watch the whole game, but I watched the first half.
Yeah, I would flip back and forth and just check it out. I mean, honestly, you know how I am. I'm one of those people, if I know what's going to happen, there's no intrigue for me whatsoever. I don't think anybody in their right mind thought Arkansas had a chance. I've been saying this for the past 2 years. Arkansas is the joke of the SEC because they don't even have the academics that Vanderbilt has. So, to be honest with you, I didn't think that there was going to be any intrigue in the game. And plus, with me doing the move and the gumbo that was on the stove for the LSU game, we would flip and check it out just because we knew that was the next opponent. It was on TV, check it out like that. But to watch it as in depth, there was nothing to really have an appeal for me personally.
Yeah, and Chad Morris, the head coach right there, he's sitting there with an opportunity. Here's the difference. He is the epitome, too, of a guy where just because you are getting a job and getting paid more doesn't mean it is the long-term best route. What I mean is Chad Morris is not an old guy. You know, he's actually one of these for coaching standpoints. I mean, he was born in 68. He's sitting there. He's 50 years old. He's 50 years old. But when he was a coordinator, he was an offensive coordinator at Clemson, and everybody wanted Deshaun Watson. I mean, Morris and Venables and Dabo, that was a great core. Then you had him at SMU, and he did okay at SMU.
And he actually brought the quarterback from SMU to Arkansas.
So he leaves to go to to Arkansas, who has some decent players. They've sent a lot of guys to the NFL. They're not a joke of a team, but he takes over and goes out there, and so far during the course of 2 years, he has not won one game in conference play. So
to
now
me, that's not even surprising.
No, he's 0-13 as a head coach in conference play. And we're talking, you're going to get those games against Vandy, against games where you should beat an Ole Miss or someone at home, maybe. But when you're 0-13, you haven't had one of those matchups where you get to celebrate a victory at home.
Yeah.
He's 50, but he might go one of those paths where you're seeing him like coaching on the sidelines of one of those like in the plains of Texas. And one day his coach is like, yeah, no, I watched you for 3 years. You never won a game in the SEC. I'm not going with you anymore.
Yeah, you don't really have much leverage in the negotiation process when you sit down for an interview.
Exactly.
Like I was looking at Jim Harbaugh. He had like 3 major people call him for the job, one of which was Tony Dungy and things like that. And I'm like, well, you might get the job when you get those kind of guys calling to say they should hire you. But when you have a body of work like Mr. Morris here, you better have some really good phone calls coming in, because your body of work is definitely not something that's going to get the phones ringing for you to come over to
Maybe
another
you can
place.
be a defensive line coach for New England. That's where a lot of coaches end up. That's where Bielema is right now. Looking at the they got Mississippi State, Western Kentucky, at LSU and Missouri. Yeah, they might. I don't see Mississippi State, LSU, or Missouri. Yeah, they don't win the conference game this year either. So there you go, Arkansas. But looking at the Alabama Crimson Tide, the words of Nick Saban. When we come back, we'll hear from it. It's the Roll Tide Radio Show. Chad Brillante, Eric Vidrine. Thanks again to former NFL coach and Florida Gator Case Stevenson, who played back in the day against the Alabama Crimson Tide and now having the opportunity to come in here and talk about it. We'll get to more of the games coming up here with Alabama, the bye week, Tua, and we'll hear from Nick Saban this morning as he met with reporters at Monday Morning Quarterback Club in downtown Birmingham in suit and tie, as only Nick Saban, when he walks through that door, you know exactly who he is. Coming through right here, it's the Roll Tide Radio Show. Gordon Auto Wholesale. Check them out. When everybody else says no, they say yes. Check them out today. Right there, 2 blocks south off Airport on Old Palafox Street. A Carfax check. Eddie Gordon, lifelong Alabama fan. Check out Gordon Auto Wholesale today. Great deals going on, great specials. Check out their website at GordonAutoWholesale.com just to get a car today of your dreams. And no down, 0 down, and you can get an affordable car even if you have bad credit. Coming back for more right here on Roll Tide Radio, ESPN Pensacola.
Gordon Auto Wholesale says yes. No credit, bad credit, bankruptcies, no problem. Over 250 vehicles in stock. Third-row SUVs and trucks. Everyone's approved. Gordon Auto Wholesale is the bank and can help you get into a nice, clean vehicle. Carfax checked. Need a new car? Gordon Auto says yes. Can't buy one from the other dealers? Come see Gordon Auto Wholesale on Palafox, just 2 blocks south of Airport. Or call 479-9200. That's 479-9200.
It's time for some straight talk. You know those football players who are all talk, no show? Well, big wireless carriers aren't much different. Well, Straight Talk Wireless doesn't give you the hype, just the savings. For just $45 a month, you'll get the unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data, then 2G. No contract. All on the same 4G LTE networks as the big guys, but up to half the cost. Savings delivered right to your wallet. Only at Walmart. Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
Maybe a little mental, physical, and psychological rest for our team. And opportunity to improve. We're going to practice Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of this week. And whether it's individual groups or units, improvement are all things that we want to focus on, and we want to give the players a little exposure to what any of the next 4 opponents do that's different than what we've seen so far. So that'll be kind of the goals that we have for this week.
How much have you even been able to watch LSU at this point?
I watched I watched Auburn's offense versus LSU's defense. That's all I've had a chance to watch so far.
So what do you think based on watching that a little bit?
No opinion. They got a good team. They're a very good team, and they got a good defensive team. And, we're really not going to start on LSU till Thursday. Players get stale if you work on the same team for too long. So we got a lot of other things that we're trying to clean up and do between now and then. So that's not really the focus. And I was really watching Auburn's offense, if you want to know the truth about it.
Nick, after the game, Mac kind of understated his performance, said it really wasn't that big of a deal. How big of a deal was that for him moving forward?
I think it was good for his confidence. I think he'll learn a lot from it. And even though we were very pleased with, the things that he did in the game, there's obviously always things that, we made mistakes on that we could improve. And I'm sure this will be a really good learning experience for him and a really big confidence builder for him for the future. So we were pleased with what he was able to do. He did a nice job of executing, kept it simple, did his job well, didn't make it too complicated, and I think that's really kind of the key to the drill.
Nick, where do you think the defense is taking the next step, or where do you think it's improved the most in 8 games, 9 games?
Well, I think we're trying to make progress. I think, when we've had Terrell Lewis and Anthony both, on the field, it's really helped the pass rush. We play those two guys together a lot, especially in nickel. So we've been able to affect the quarterback a lot more, when those two guys are playing. We still, have a ways to go in terms of ability to execute together as a group without making, mental error here, mental error there that leads to plays. Because I think when you get in close games, those kinds of things can really, really hurt you. And as a team, we still get far too many penalties, too many undisciplined type penalties that we need to clean up and give people too many extra opportunities, whether it's on third down or, 4th and 3, line up offsides on a punt return where you're just going to fair catch the ball. I mean, you're giving people extra possessions on offense, and when they have good players and good teams, those things can really hurt you.
How much do the next 2 workouts, you said no LSU until Thursday, that you enjoy as a coach where you get to, it's just focus on trying to work on the things that need to be done?
Oh, I like all the practices. I like it when we're focusing on, what we need to do to improve. I like it when we're trying to strategize for the next team that we're going to play and try to teach the players, what they need to know to be able to implement the plan against those strategies. So, I enjoy all of it. So we just take it one day at a time and try to get the most out of every day and be where your feet are and control what you can control in that moment. And that's been, the thing I think that can help the players the most and can help us the most as coaches.
What will be the approach to it when he is able to return to practice?
And we just have to see what he can do and evaluate, his mobility and his performance, and that can't really predict any of those things. Just got to let it happen and see how it goes. And I think Wednesday will probably be the first day he's back out on the field. He's been on the Ultra G now and progressing well on that, which is usually the protocol for how we bring players back that have lower extremity type injuries.
Based on how well his rehab's gone at this point, is it fair to say that you guys are pretty optimistic at this point that he's going to be available?
I just said we're not making any predictions. So is it fair to question that? We can't know. I can't know. I got no crystal ball. I don't know how he's going to do in Wednesday's practice. I don't know how he'll do after that. So is it fair to say I don't know?
It is fair to say.
Yeah, I don't know. Nobody knows.
Is there a percentage that you want him to get to that you feel comfortable with?
No. If he can perform to the best of his ability, we're not going to put him in a situation where he can't perform. All right, and if he can perform, he'll be able to play. If he can't perform, then he won't play.
One more? We done?
Well, so nothing like sending Nick Saban off on such a positive note on a Monday morning. The Monday morning quarterback, for the folks that don't know, and most folks Welcome back to the Roll Tide Radio show on ESPN, brought to you by Gordon Auto Wholesale. If you don't know, Monday Morning Quarterback is a group of a lot of people within town that obviously wear a little bit of crimson, and they go out there and they talk football. They get a chance to meet Nick Saban. You have people stopping by, Hall of Famers. Gene Stallings used to go in. You still get people coming into town in Birmingham, and he was fielding questions about the LSU game and Tua. Remember, it's a bye week and then. So this week they're off. So he's got more time to do these things. Yeah. These are the kind of things on bye weeks you're going to get coaches getting out there to more events because they have about 13 days compared to 6 or 7. And football for Nick Saban is everything. And he's not going to – I don't care what speaking engagement. There's not enough zeros. Remember, Texas probably gave him an undisclosed number that nobody will ever truly know. I bet some guy that was sitting out there probably like pulled up in one of those movies, like took a couple Escalades out to like one of those oil tycoon ranches. Some guy sitting there like, Mr. Saban, got my kids on the wheel, and about the 6th kid I had, I don't really like them. They are going to get a cool $1 billion. I'm worth about 10 of them. See these, all this oil's mine. Me and Jerry Jones smile and just do our thing. But he goes, probably, how about $1 billion? How does that sound? I bet that conversation did not happen, but I bet there was something close to the matter of that Nick Saban got whatever he wanted when he wanted.
They pre-filled the check. They put 1 0, a comma,
and
3 more
say,
zeros,
yeah.
and then pick the number, sign it.
Yeah,
that probably did.
I mean, I bet there was a number that we've never heard of in sports because at that
No,
time,
of course not.
Texas was in pain. They had gone through some crappy times with Charlie Strong, and they have their own network, the Longhorn Network. They wanted anybody, and people in Texas do things bigger. They feel like they can get anything. They can get that done. And they felt like they could get Saban on anything. Doesn't matter if he was winning titles at Alabama. We're going to get this guy. Land on a chopper, and we're going to get him. And didn't happen. So Nick Saban, you're not going to get him to come to all these clubs and speak unless it is a bye week. He does the Monday Morning Quarterback all the time. But this week he's going to be at more venues, have a more opportunity. But he's not going to answer those questions. And he's not to his doctor. And frankly, he might know a little more from the doctor asking him. But it's pretty clear. When you have a high ankle sprain, you have to have time for it to heal. He's not going to do any weight-bearing kind of activities for probably another 6 to 7 days. And then when he gets out there, he's going to take some time and get ready. And they're going to get him back for this game. If he can physically put some pressure on that ankle without falling, he is going to play.
And that's a similar basketball injury, as
yes,
you know.
It is, yeah.
So I can 100% attest that
I've had this happen 4 times.
You have?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So when you have this type of ankle injury, a lot of times you might feel you're okay until it moves a certain direction, and then you realize, okay, I'm not 100%. Because I've had times where I thought I was good to go, and then one land, one cut, and because I'm a ball handler, one little shift or anything, if it moves in a certain direction, it almost re-aggravates the whole thing. So by the time the game comes, I could promise you he's not going to be 100%, but I don't think he understands the extent of the injury as well until there's a certain movement that he wasn't anticipating, and then it just kind of lets him know that it's still there. So I don't think it'll be 100%, but it's one of those things you're not going to 100% know until that ankle moves in a different direction.
I had a moment where it was I just got back, which I thought off of the injury. It was a play where I caught a rebound. And a guy actually played for Georgia, the Bulldogs. Steve Newman was his name. Big guy, big redhead guy, 6'8". And he played for First Academy in Orlando. And we were playing against him. Now, this guy was 6'8", 240 pounds. He's a D1 guy, played at Georgia. And for what did the Fox say over there? He was on Coach Fox's team. And he went out there, and I caught a ball underneath the hoop, which I probably should not have been lurking with the big dogs under there. I catch the ball, and I went to turn down court as the point guard to start running and all of a sudden, his foot was on my foot, and I went, and my body didn't go, and like that.
There it goes.
And so I'm on the ground, and I was out for a while. But I remember when I recovered, I was wearing a high ankle, a brace that went up pretty far.
Right.
And I remember when I first thought I could get on the court, and this was during like a pep rally, so everybody was hanging out, and the cheerleaders were all out there, and I was trying to show off with one of these moves. So I do a spin move to the basket. And my body said no. My head was telling me, my brain was telling me this, my body was telling me. No, it was awful. And I flat out just and go, and the ball goes out of bounds, and I roll like an idiot on the court. And everybody, as high schoolers would at that point, would just sit there and laugh and mock, and everybody in the front row, like all the girls, were like, pfft. Now, see, eventually I got the cheerleader, and I married her, and go Tigers, and, the awesome one. So I win ultimately in this conversation. But at that moment, I did not win. That was the most embarrassing moment on a sports court arena since when I had braces, and one of my braces got stuck inside the webbing of the jerseys. You know, the whole jerseys, the ones like you wear for warm-up gear right there that have all like the air breathing, the holes.
Yeah.
Well, I was sitting there like this. A guy walked by, and I'm a mouth breather, and he goes and brace got stuck on it, and he was dragging me out to the court, dragging. So since that moment, it wasn't that bad. But I'm telling you, that I know as a high ankle, though, you might think you can still do things, but there's going to be moments where if he tries to make a cut and you've got a bunch of 5-star or 4-star LSU guys coming at him, he's not going to be able to. But they'll draw up a game plan to keep him within the pocket.
Yeah,
and the offensive line, guys like Alex Leatherwood, and those guys will be ready. And this game's at home, too. So the atmosphere, the clock, this is huge for the timing for this game to be at home. It's not going to get talked about as much as the hype of 1 and 2, but it is so detrimental that if you're not healthy, that you are in an arena that is going to be more quiet, more in your favor. You're going to be able to get the play calls in on time. You're not going to be scrambling. Like, he has all the things to make him more comfortable than if he was in a chaos of Death Valley for this game at 1 versus 2. That is huge with him recovering, because for the folks out there waiting for his injury, he's either going to play or not based on whether the ankle is ready, but he's going to find a way, and he won't be 100% based on, I did the math of his injury. He won't be 100%.
No.
He's going to be 80, 85%, 75%, but he'll
Exactly.
play. But
and
he will play.
And what I was going to say is everybody knows that an 80% Tua is still better than probably – so, for instance, right now –
But is it better than 100% Joe Burrow? That's going to be the key. I mean,
not necessarily. But what I'll say is this, is the supporting cast. So let's look at it this way. You and I would probably agree that he's going to go number 1 overall, barring, and there's always crazy things that happen during the combine. They don't know, you know how it is. They always find a story, well, when you were in middle school, you said this. You know, barring something that we do not know, he's going to be a first-round pick. I say Tua at 80% is still probably a second-round pick. So do you think a second-round quarterback with a supporting cast from Alabama can get the job done? The answer is yes. So to me, whether he's 100% or 80%, I don't think it hurts their chances much at all. He's still going to be the threat. He's still able to throw the arm. It's not like a thumb with Drew Brees, and that's going to affect how far you throw it or anything like that. He's still going to be fine.
Well, and the game plan, if you're Alabama, Nick Saban, first off, is never going to give you anything, so don't expect him to.
Yeah, of course not.
He's been
and
doing
he hates
this.
stupid questions.
Yeah,
so
does,
if you start off with a stupid question, he's immediately going to shut it down. So
we should do like and that was, by the way, let's give some credit to, we have so many big moving pieces. I could not make it to the Monday Morning Quarterback Club, obviously, to be able to be here and host the 3 shows we're doing today on our network. But at the same time, Coach Saban talked about the reporters. That was Wesley Signer from AL.com that had that interview for us. So thank you, Wesley, and we appreciate it. Our folks down the road there on AL.com doing a great job. Get a lot of articles, and I know a lot of Alabama fans read their stories. But the folks out there that were at the Monday Morning Quarterback, we should honestly just go there and make a list of obvious questions that Nick Saban would come back with those answers. And just be like, we wear different Groucho Marx mustaches or whatever, but not rude comments or ones that, when the guy like yells a Jameis meme and on TV and then they have to shut him down and go to FCC, beep, one of those.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about, and you know what I'm talking about there.
Oh,
but,
of course.
Exactly. But I'm talking about things like, Coach, you're sitting here at a good chance, but there has been rumors that you talk about it. You just beat Arkansas. Fayetteville will be looking for a job at opening. Have you considered the opportunity? Many folks in Little Rock and Fayetteville have put your name. Vegas has you as one of the odds favorite. Would you consider the Arkansas job for next season? Just the questions that he's just going to look over and be like.
And even if it was accurate, right? And they asked that question, like they actually asked a question. I forgot what the question was. Oh, they asked him if he watched any of the LSU and Auburn games.
Yes.
And he paused. And the reason why he paused was because he knows the answer, but he doesn't want to give you the answer.
Yeah.
Because if you ask, you or me a question, both of us being straight up honest people, we're going to answer it honestly. But when you're in his shoes, you want to answer it honestly, but then he paused. To me, that tells me there's a little bit more there. Mm-hmm. And honestly, the people that are asking the questions, you have to understand you're going to get as vanilla of an ice cream cone as you're going to get when you ask these types of questions. So it shouldn't even be a shock.
And that point, and at this point, what we know is he does know more than us because he's talking directly with Dr. James Andrews and his staff. And those are the ones right now currently with the team doctors and Dr. Andrews, who, by the way, they're not flying Tua down to Gulf Breeze. They can afford it, but they got Birmingham right there. Andrews Institute, they've got a headquarters where Dr. Andrews is a lot of times. It's also closer right there to Washington, D.C., where he is the team doctor for the Redskins. So they're back and forth. And I know a number of the doctors. Fred Robbins is working at Exos. We have a chance. I go down there and be able to talk to a lot of the guys. You'll be shocked. I mean, on a daily basis. And it's like, this isn't like, some shocking news report, because anybody that follows Andrews knows that people are coming all over the world. But you go down there any day. And they don't let you into these rooms unless you're somebody that is supposed to be there. But you can see Justin Timberlake. He might have slipped on one of the stages. Who knows? But he's down there getting orthopedic surgery done. Not just athletes, but Adrian Peterson. Tiger Woods is down there all the time.
I know RG3 was there.
But RG3 and out. They got him out the door, RG3. But that's his career. Looking at the matchups, though, there's this game coming up here against LSU is going to be. Is this going to be the biggest college football game in the history of regular season college football?
I don't know about ever, for the simple fact that there is a college playoff. So, you have 4 teams in as opposed to the BCS era when there was only 2 teams in. So go back to maybe like 2011 LSU Alabama when it was 1 versus 2. That would probably take the cake, just because you and I both know that if there's a 1-loss LSU or an Alabama team, especially with Oklahoma losing, they're going to get the edge for that 4th spot.
Yeah.
So I would say no, just because the format changed. So
here's why I'm going to say yes, though.
Okay.
I'm going to say yes because in that game, I remember where I was. I was watching it with Steve Merchant. He has passed the Gulf Breeze, good baseball player back in the way. And we were doing a production. We were doing a basketball game for Florida State College in right there. The college in... What is the junior college in Jacksonville?
Niceville. No, not Niceville.
No, Northwest Florida State College is in
Phil.
Niceville, but there's one in, I think it's Florida College, or
might be.
It's but they're in Jacksonville, and I used to call games, a lot of those games, and had an opportunity to do that. I was 21 years. Well, I just moved here, 23 years old, and picked up some of those games before married and on the road. And I remember we were sitting there at the hotel bar at the Holiday Inn. I'm not breaking out the song or anything, but I was sitting at the Holiday Inn, and I was watching that game with Steve, and I remember it was a 9-6 game, like it was yesterday. I remember every single play. It was, even before that game, you had A.J. McCarron on the field, and I believe it was Zach Mettenberger.
No, Jordan Jefferson.
It was Jordan Jefferson, correct? Good job.
Justin's brother.
But Jordan Jefferson versus A.J. McCarron wasn't the 1 and 2 for the Heisman. And that's why I make this. It's because you got here are the storylines with this game. You've got 1 and 2, both undefeated, going into week 10.
And then Heisman guys.
You got number 1 and 2 right now in the Heisman. You also got maybe number 1 and 2 in the draft. So whoever wins this, if Burrow goes out there and dominates the game, or not dominates, but they win this game, you will see reports that Joe Burrow now is the guy that everybody's looking at in the NFL draft. If he just looks way better. Remember, Tua last year was doing everything, and then all of a sudden, overnight, everybody goes, a high ankle sprain. You see how crappy he played again? I'm like, dude, don't judge this guy by that play. Like, He had a great season. But if Burrow goes out and wins that, this game means so much more than just football. It means more for the NFL. I mean, college football. This is huge for the accolades for everything. And there's not that much of a window open for teams with only 1 loss this year. Oklahoma helped, but Ohio State, Penn State, there's a lot of teams undefeated still. And they'll ultimately have to play each other, and one will be eliminated.
Right.
But having 1 loss in the SEC, it doesn't guarantee you a spot with another conference champion winning. So this is going to be an exciting year, but that's why I would say this game, to me, is a little bit higher. They're both,
and that's very good points, because I definitely didn't consider the Heisman part. But whenever I look at just the odds of you getting in, whenever it's 1 versus 2 in the BCS versus the odds of you getting one of those 4 spots, I think are a little bit higher in today's world. That's why I give them the slight edge.
Okay.
But in terms of the Heisman and things, you're spot on. That's going to be something definitely to look forward to.
Coming back after the break, it's the Roll Tide Radio Show, brought to you by Gordon Auto Wholesale. When everybody else says no, they say yes. No credit, bad credit can get you in the car of your dreams. Coming back for more right here on this Monday. It's Roll Tide Radio.
Algae. That murky green stuff may not seem very useful, but it could be the future of energy. That's why ExxonMobil and Synthetic Genomics are developing biofuels from algae, so that the trucks, ships, and planes that drive our economy could one day run on algae biofuels with half the greenhouse gas emissions of today's fuels, keeping transportation humming while cutting emissions. Learn more at energyfactor.com.
There are kids in this country who didn't have a parent at their baseball games or recitals because their parents were serving in faraway places. But now they're coming home, and Wounded Warrior Project assists them through the Warriors to Work program.
My mom used to be a tank programmer. Now she works with computers. I'm really glad she's home because I can't eat my dad's marshmallow macaroni anymore.
To support the Warriors to Work program, contact Wounded Warrior Project at findwwp.org. Welcome home the brave.
Talk football every day with Pensacola's own Coach K.
The key on offense is going to be whether Franks can come back and duplicate what he did in the last 4 games.
Every weekday, noon till 1 on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 FM 99.1.
ESPN Pensacola is your home to UWF Argos football. Catch every game, home or away, on Pensacola's home for local sports. ESPN Pensacola 1330 FM 99.1.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
And welcome back. It is the Roll Tide Radio Show right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Chad Brillante alongside Eric Vidrine having some fun. Brought to you by Gordon Auto Wholesale. LSU and Alabama will battle it out coming up here in 2 weeks, or a week and a half from now, and to have an opportunity to get out there and play a game where it's now 1-2. The polls are even split. It's a hard game to pick. It's in Bryant-Denny, though, so Alabama, a team that clearly at this point will have the opportunity to be the favorite. And it looks like, based on the lines of what I'm seeing, that Alabama is going to be, and this is, I mean, they're not going to put this line out here. First off, it's not this week, it's next week after that. But, Eric, they're sitting there right now, according to that. If Tua plays, the spread will be 6.5 right now is where they're setting it. I think that'll move. I mean, clearly,
of course it's going to move.
And they're not
too much time,
yeah.
Too much updates with the injury, too many reports that still need to come out. Yeah, that's definitely going to move.
And what you learn living in Vegas too, I realize it, but I've always realized this. If anybody that's bet a game or had anything to do with sports, you realize that lines, Vegas and the people that control the lines can do what they want with the lines when they want. And if you get some kind of game that obviously, because when you have that many games, you have like Mount St. Union versus like Newcastle State or whatever playing in a game.
It's a good beer.
Yeah, it's a great one right there. I love that beer. It's a little thick. You can't drink like a bunch and have a good time. It's not a day drinking beach beer. Good point. You know what I'm saying? I'm out in Breckenridge on a long day on the slopes beer. And you have
I have a good meal. I want to have one.
A good meal, and exactly. But I love Newcastle, by the way. But looking at the and every beer for that matter. But looking at the matchup here, Alabama is a 6.5-point favorite. But they have the right to, if Tua doesn't play or something happens during practice, they can take it right off and not count that. You can get lines early if they do, but they can also move it. I've seen that before. I'll never forget Dominic Davis, running back right there.
Changed his name to Williams.
Yep. Dominic Davis was a running back for the Houston Texans, and they put on the big board at the Bellagio. That's where I used to go, comfortable seat, really cool. They had like a baseball glove that was leather where you could lay back, and they had the TV on top of the roof, just like a dream right there. You could get like one of those beer funnel hoses, like injected. But I remember you can't do that, but that would have
Football season has arrived.
Looking at the matchup, so as the one thing about that game, I remember they had Dominic Davis over under a certain amount of plays, and it was touchdown passes, and they meant to put rushing touchdowns. And I was like, he has never thrown a ball, let alone unless they do 3 reverses. So I was like, anything out of my wallet, I tried to put on it, and they took it off the line. They did not count it. They realized their mistake, and my thing was voided. But they can change this at any time. That's all the time we have for Roll Tide Radio. Big game coming up here. Alabama opening as a 6.5-point favorite in 2 weeks against LSU, but things can change. Paul Feinbaum Show.
About to put the anchor down. Hotty toddy, who's it gonna be? Cowbells and swamp, the Aggies wrong. There's nothing like the SEC. The weekend's full of surprise. Get him with the flex. From Williams Bikes to Death Valley. On the Feinbaum Show, Paul's on the roll. If he don't get the best of me,
Alabama.
it's your show. Go ahead.
You got a damn burn crappy attitude.
Let me talk, Danny. Okay, go. Talk about the tide that's rolling in. The weekend's full of surprises. From big upsets to robberies. On the Feinbaum Show, heads are gonna roll. If they don't get the best of me, we'll call Paul. He'll make sense of it all.
I really don't know where to go after that.
Don't take those calls.
I could give you my address and phone number if you're ever in this neck of the woods.
In my life, I've never had a phone call like that. And a new week has dawned, the last week of October. What a momentous month it has been. Anyway, glad to have you on board. Thanks for being a part of the program. Let's get right to the headlines. And since we were here with you last, there is a new number 1 in the country. What does it mean? This is in the Advocate. More pressure for LSU. Of course, don't forget, a week and 2 days away from the first college football ranking, but it looks like LSU will be number 1 in that one as well. So that game is 2 weeks away, and already the FPI just not giving LSU much chance. 72% favoring Alabama, but figure that one out for yourself. Anyway, that game, I think we'll have plenty of time to lead up to that game because we have some pretty big games this week as well, at least one in particular. Yeah, you've heard of this one. Georgia in Florida. They meet every year, world's largest outdoor cocktail party. I'm going to keep saying that until somebody gives me a ticket. Anyway, Georgia is a slight pick. If you had run into us in July media days, you probably would have thought that would be overwhelming. But the trend lines seem to be favoring Florida right now, except the FPI still has it at a 61% chance. And how about the Vols? Just when you think everything is going Will Muschamp's way after a win over Georgia, then a controversial loss the next week where a lot of fans blame the officiating, they march into Knoxville and go back with their beaks between their legs. Gamecocks go down. Jeremy Pruitt, one of his biggest wins as a Tennessee volunteer coach. He will join us in about 27 minutes. Always exciting to talk to Coach Pruitt. Lynn Bowden, who pretty much did everything Saturday night but sell popcorn. He'll join us a little bit later on. Scott Rabelais from The Advocate on the weekend. We were down in Baton Rouge over the weekend, and they were pretty fired up about that was a big win. Meanwhile, a lot of Auburn fans, I'm sure, will be chiming in today. So we'll take your phone calls at 855-242-7285. And there's already a little bit of controversy in the aftermath of the Auburn win. I frankly thought the defense was spectacular. I mean, what else can you say about Kevin Steele? But naturally, there has been some criticism of the play selection, and it just seems like that has been the case every time Auburn has lost. And many Auburn fans are beginning to wonder if Gus Malzahn has the right quarterback in there. Yes, you heard me say that correctly. Anyway, let's get to some phone calls here at 855-242-7285. Let's begin with Augie in New Orleans. Hello, Augie.
Hey, Paul, where you at?
Doing great,
Got to
thanks.
start off with the obligatory Joe Moorhead question. With each loss, do you see him calling the movers to deliver his household goods to New Brunswick?
Well, listen, the people in Rutgers may not have a good football team, but they also are watching from a distance. And I mean, if you're the athletic director at Rutgers, what have you seen from Joe Moorhead in the last 2 years that would encourage you to want to hire him for your job?
I just had to ask that Joe Moorhead question. Are you more impressed with Florida's or Alabama's, Auburn's performance against LSU?
Listen, I'm very impressed with Auburn, but I think overall Florida is the team that matters more right now.
Do you think, I know it's academic and I know you don't want to call things before it's time, but hey, you are a talk show guy and that's why you exist for these fantasies. Do you think LSU is the best team in the country? And who are your top four at this minute?
Yeah, no, listen, I understand the argument for LSU being number one, and I think we're splitting hairs here, Augie. I have Ohio State ranked by a razor-thin margin ahead of LSU, Alabama, and then my fourth team would be Clemson, although I'm not excited by that fourth pick. I think if you take out their schedule, I still think they could manage a tougher schedule in spite of what happened against North Carolina.
Let me ask you this, the last question. Who do you think is the best in-game coach in the SEC? That means when the game's going on, this guy is on top. Is it Smart, Saban, Mullen, Malzahn, or O?
Right now, I tell you what, I really like Dan Mullen. I think he has been
I agree with you.
Pure money.
I think he is. I think he's the best guy. And as far as Sankey goes and this whole issue about people questioning officiating, he seems to be getting very irritated when you bring it up. Has he become a potentate or what's going on with him?
Has he become a what?
A potentate. I mean, he's like a dictator.
I'm sorry. I did hear you there the first time. I just wanted to make sure.
Sorry, not impotent. Sorry about that.
You know, I don't know. The commissioner, I've not heard him publicly speak about it. I read his manifesto the other day.